So let me ask you then, where do you think humanity is going? What is your current view uh of humanity's evolution right now?
Well, first of all, I think it's incredible. I think it's wondrous and amazing. And when you can see it from sort of the healing perspective, all that is happening that is in transformation, and key to that is all of the healings that's going on. When you look at all the chaos that's underway, you can understand that chaos is important because it is happening because of all of this old pain that is rising up from the crevices of humanity, this pain that's always been here. We didn't just create pain, it's always been here. So, in the awakening, in our healing, coming into more of our wholeness, nothing's going to be left behind. And that in particularly means the pain. So that pain rising up is going to be expressed through all of this chaos, all of this mayhem and mess. And so the more that this divine presence is palpable and accessible here, it's pulling up all of these things to be included in this healing. And that means it's pulling up more and more and more of the things that feel uncomfortable, the things that feel confusing, the things that we've wanted to repress or reject. Now it's very front and center. So all of this that's coming up is now seeking a different relationship and reaction than we've ever had. Because in the past, the way that we would react to that is just to continue the momentum of pain. We hate it, we reject it, we try to conquer it, we try to, do away with it. And nothing in us wants to be rejected.
Mm.
Right? We've had this conquering mentality, and I talk a lot about this conquering mentality of humanity's evolution, even in the Christ crucifixion experience. In that, there was all of this information that was very clear about mankind had made a decision at that time that mankind didn't want a good Christ that healed. Mankind wanted a good Christ that conquered. And that's a very different dynamic to continue on in how society works, right? That's the fundamental systems of our world, is this conquering mentality. You know that in your film industry because every story requires a conflict arc, right? You require
Absolutely.
this tension and the good conquering the bad, right? But ultimately, because we are all one, because we are all from the same exact source, we keep employing this idea of trying to make one part of us make another part of us go away. And you'll notice that we can't. We've never been able to. We've never been able to love our bad away, right? We just keep recycling it. And the reason is we keep using love like a weapon to try to conquer or do away with this bad. And what that bad is all of our pain. It's the expressions, these iterations of pain that are crying out so loudly for love. And what we're coming into is the realization that, oh my God, we're that love. We're the answer to that cry. We're not the thing that continues to try to reject it or conquer it or destroy it. We're the thing that says, oh my darling, come on in. Come on into this home of love. And that's the transformation. Exactly that is the time where we begin to transform all of that pain into a healing, creative co-creator of love with us.
It sounds like it's a spiritual facial where it's pulling out all the pores and the black gook that's inside of your pores to clean them out.
Oh my God, I've never heard that analogy, but yeah, that works.
I mean, yeah, because it's like literally this new awareness is pulling out all these crevices. You said these crevices. First thing that popped in my head, I was like, oh, it's a spiritual facial.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. It is a cleansing. You hear a lot of teachers talk about this time being a time of clearing and cleansing, and that is exactly what's happening. And we get to be part of that process. And, this is all about changing our relationship to what's happening. changing our orientation from an orientation in this separation consciousness into an orientation into a more embracing unitive consciousness.
But let me ask you though, without the negative uh, vibrations or the negative aspects of the things we're talking about, this gook that we're dealing with, this chaos, without it as a counterbalance to the light, without the dark, the light can't shine. It needs the dark to counterbalance it so it can grow. This kind of thing that is happening now. So in other words, from my understanding, you have to understand pain in a certain level to understand love and here at this realm, not at the other realm.
Well,
In this realm, what's your opinion?
My experiences are a little bit different.
Okay, please.
My experiences aren't that we have to. It's that
True.
through the way that it's happening, we can understand light. But light doesn't require dark to shine. Light is just light. Light's shining, right?
Sure.
So, we don't require the pain, but we do experience the pain because all of the origins of pain, I have experienced this again and again and again and again. The origins of all pain start with our belief, our deeply held belief that we're separate from this thing that we call God, this life force, this divine love. And so when we're separate from this, our very nature, our very source, there's an innate pain. There's an innate sense of abandonment and loneliness and a deep fear that we're all alone, right? So we just perpetuate all of this pain from that. And this is an avenue. We didn't mean to do it. In my experience, this wasn't some grand plan that was like, we're going to suffer and see how we learn through that. That's not my experiences at all. It was all an innocent exploration that just, continued to perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate. We did learn, and we are learning, we have learned a great deal from this. But what's at hand now is that we don't have to suffer in the learning through this avenue. Now we can begin to heal the things that we do not want to bequeath to future generations or humanity. Humanity as a whole has finally said, okay, we're done with this path. Now we're going to go exploring some greater aspects. And when you think about in the higher dimensions, they don't require pain.
No.
Right? You don't hear about people having near-death experiences and they go up there and they talk about how they, have pain with each other so they can learn. Right. So this pain is the thing that's very human. Like it's a very human experience. It's a very fear-based separation consciousness experience. Is it rich in learnings and deepenings and understanding? Yes. But now we're learning that we can have the richness of that as we heal those things to continue on to ever more expansive, much easier, much more compassionate paths of exploration.
To watch the full video, click on the link below, and don't forget to subscribe.